Last month, we asked if anyone wanted to come up for the open mic section, and Paul offered to come up, and he told a story. And when he was finished, I said, "That's not Paul. That was really good." He said, "I got a million of them." I thought we might chip away at those and ask him to come back this evening to tell his story. The theme tonight is friends and lovers, and your story is called "Hugging in Kerala." Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go.
Here it is.
Yeah, you got it.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
First thing I want to say thanks to Charles for organizing these events and opening this wonderful restaurant and bringing people together. So everybody, thanks, Charles.
Hey.
Thanks, Charles. My name is Paul Crouse. That's spelled with a C, not a K. It rhymes with house, mouse, spouse, and louse. I'm not a louse with a spouse, but anyway. Also, I'm also sometimes known as Too Tall Paul, or Tall Bald Paul, or as I'm walking down the street in Japan, usually I'm known as Really Big, Scary Foreigner in Japanese. Usually I hear that as I'm going back. And I stop and go, "Chigao, kawaii desu." Cute. Okay, so tonight we're supposed to talk about friends and lovers, and my best friend and lover and wife, she knows right here. So she doesn't want me to talk about her, and I really shouldn't talk about previous lovers, so we're going to talk about friends.
Smart man.
I've learned a few things over these years. So, quite a few years back, I was doing some training. It was intuition training. I was training to live by my intuition. And so that's as opposed to just listen to the stuff up here in my la cabeza. So anyway, going through this intuitive training, one of the things, I was walking down Kawaramatchi Street. This is probably in the early 2000s, quite a long time ago. There used to be a big bookstore on Kawaramatchi Street called Maruzen. So I'm walking down the street, and I'm supposed to be going somewhere else, but then I'm walking past Maruzen, and it's sort of like, stop. I should go into the bookstore. So I turn and I walk in the bookstore, and, well, I'll go to the English book level. So I go up to the, I don't know, the 8th floor or something like that. So I get off the elevator, excuse me, escalator, and I'm walking down the stacks. Oh, I guess I'm going to turn here and turn here, and I go down to the end of another stacks, and there's a whole bunch of Lonely Planet books. So I walk up to the Lonely Planet books, and I look, and right in front of me it says India. So I pull one book out. It says India. I open up to one page only, somewhere in the middle. And at the bottom of the page was a story about a woman named Amma. Amma's known as the hugging saint, or the hugging guru. And I'm reading, she's got an ashram in Kerala state, which is in the very southernmost part on the, I guess, the left-hand side of India. West. Well, you know. Anyway, so I'm reading about Amma. So her basic shtick is that the way she's going to improve the world is to literally hug as many people as humanly possible. So she must have hugged hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. So I'm reading all that. Okay, I close the book, I put it on the bookshelf, and I leave the bookstore. So we fast forward, and then I've organized a trip to go to India for a couple of weeks. For the first week, I did some photography work up in northern India for an NGO I was working for, and then I had another week. I thought, well, why don't I go to this place that I read in the Lonely Planet book? So I did. So I'll catch a plane from northern India to southern India, get on a long taxi ride, get to this ashram. And it's a beautiful place. It's right on the, Kerala is actually quite beautiful. It's very tropical. There's lots of palm trees, and this ashram is right on the sea. I mean, just like 100 meters away is the ocean. So I get there, and it's really crowded. There's lots of people there. This is the most exotic place I've ever been to in my life, easily. Coming from Michigan, this is really exotic. Okay? No rusting factories or anything. Well, I take that back. There probably were rusting factories. But anyway, so I get to this ashram and I go into the main building to sign in. And they say, oh, have you done darshan yet? And I go, well, what's darshan? It's like, oh, that's where you meet the guru. It's like, oh no, I haven't done it. I just got off a cab. Like, oh, well, dump your bags off and go to do darshan. So I did that. I dumped my bags off in the flat I was going to stay in, and I go to the darshan. And so the scene is, you walk into this, it looks like an aircraft hangar. It's this big building with this metal roof on top of it. It's about, you can get like a football field inside of it, if not more. It was huge. And there were thousands of people there, although it wasn't packed. It was only about 1/3 full. At the end of the aircraft hangar thing was a big stage. And there's people lined up on both sides. There's lots of people on the stage. And right in the middle was this teeny tiny little woman. And this is the person getting all the hugs. This is Amma. But it's a big to-do. There's lots of music playing, very Indian music. Everybody, lots of the devotees are wearing white. And it's the smells, the sounds, everything that was going on. It was very exotic. I was pretty excited about this. So I get my line, I got my little ticket for the foreigners, because they had translators for when the foreigners were there. And so I get in line, I'm watching this, and people are having their ecstatic, mystical experiences while hugging Amma and stuff like that, you know. Cool. So I'm waiting in line and move up in the line, da-da-da-da-da. Sure enough, I get up to Amma. Now, this is not... I mean, I can't, this woman's probably about this tall. It's not like I go up and give her a big bear hug. Hey, how you doing, Amma? It's like, no. She's got literally thousands of people hugging her. So what you do is you have to get on your knees, and all these people are kind of pushing you close, and you kind of lean in, and she gives you a hug, and she says something to you, and she gives you a gift, and in the gift is some sweets and this ash that you put on your head. It's like, okay, great. Oh, it's like, all right. Kind of sweaty, but that was a good hug. And then she told me something, and there was a translator there. She told me a mantra and something else personal. And she said, well, if you want, you can sit up here on the stage with us. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Because there are maybe a couple hundred people up on the stage, or there's thousands out in the main room. I'm like, wow, I'm really honored. That's really cool. So I sit down on the stage, and I'm right behind Amma, and there's, the music playing, everything. It's just like, wow, this is really cool. Then I hear, Paul-san. What? Koichi! What are you doing here? Koichi was this buddy of mine. I used to work at ECC Shijo School. He was one of the staff members. The last time I had seen him was a couple of years earlier when I was shaving his head outside a bar on Kiyamachi Street, because he goes, Paul, do you have a hair clippers? Can you shave my head? I don't want to get, deal with lice in India. So, after shaving his head, he was drunk that night. He wasn't drunk now. So of course we hugged each other and talked, and it turned out, well, he works for Amma. He's become a devotee, and he's in the inner circle. And one of the things, he goes, I thought that was you. And I go, what? He goes, well, if you look over here, and you see behind Amma, there's a long line of people on their knees, and they come up to her, and they all have like 6 of these gifts that she gives you. And it's very much an honor to give these gifts to Amma, to give to the people. And Amma just it's a really assembly line thing. She sticks her hand out and then gives them out to people. He goes, yeah, I gave the gift to Amma that she gave to you. And I was like, Twilight Zone music. So anyway, we ended up having a really good week in Kerala together. We spent a lot of time. But it's pretty freaky, right? This is the guy, I met the guy because I walked up the stairs and opened the book to one page and went, okay, let's go to India on that. So, wow. Listen to your insides. Don't always listen to this. There's a lot of magic happens when you get away from the stuff in your own head. Now, I didn't necessarily find God in the ashram because, it was an interesting experience, but I ended up just wearing my regular clothes. I didn't want to become a devotee, and that's fine. I went to school with it. But I tell you where you can find God in India. On the road. So we had to take this bus back to the airport. Excuse me. And, well, the way it worked at this thing was this big van, okay, and basically they get a foreigner to get in the van and pay for it, and then they fill it up with Indians, which is fair enough. I mean, 100 yen to me is not that much, but to an average Indian, it's a ton of money. So I paid for it. And in the back of the van were a bunch of nuns, I guess Hindu nuns, I don't know. And they're chanting the 10,000 names of God as we get on the road, which I highly suggest if you ever drive on an Indian highway that you have a bunch of nuns in the back chanting the 10,000 names of God, because I'm the big guy, so I always get stuck in the front seat and I'm looking out the window going, oh my God, because it's like, you know, this is a two-lane highway, a fast highway, but it's India, so there's like tons of stuff. There's people with carts, and everybody's on the side of the road, and then there's the cow. You don't want to hit the cow, right? Because they're holy. So the other thing is in India is that, like, when this is a two-lane highway, right? And so when they pass, it's crazy how they pass, because more than one car will pass at once. But they don't do it in a line, they do it next to each other. So you look to the right, and the driver's on this, up to the right of me, then there's two cars to the right. Then I look forward, and the same thing's happening coming in this direction. It's like there are two cars in my lane at 65, 70 miles an hour, and there's... So basically, you find God at that one moment, just before all the cars just slide right into place. It's true. Sing praise, hallelujah, I'm alive! Now I'm going to look out the side window. All right. Thank you very much. There you go.
Thank you, Paul. Once more. You know, when we saw hunting in Kerala, I had this image of you in the Kerala restaurant on Kyoto. I didn't know which Kerala you were talking about.
The state, young man, did very good in the state of Kerala.
Don't tell me that.
Not like this in Kerala.
I don't want to do it.